Hello everyone, Professor Arnelene Torres here for another video presentation for the 21st Century Skills course. For this presentation, we're going to listen to the four converging forces. So if you will remember, I have said in my previous video that a number of powerful global forces are coming together to help transform learning to meet the demands of our times. So, time is changing, and so therefore, as time is changing, our ways of learning new things and our ways of, I would say, equipping ourselves with the knowledge and skills are also different. And so, for this, we're going to learn what are those four converging forces. So, I would like to say that if you will look at the cars, cars are considered cultural icons of the modern times. Why do I say that? Because cars have been designed and manufactured in the past decades can reveal how much times have changed. If you will look at some photos or examples of cars, which I don't have here, but probably if you are curious enough, what you can do would be to Google or to go to the internet or to search in the internet the evolution of cars. How has it changed from the very first car or the very first automobile that was manufactured in the maybe 1900s or in the late 1800s? You will see how it has changed. So right now, you know that we only don't use gasoline and I would say diesel to power our car. But nowadays, we can also make use of electric as the source of our car's power. So this is a really, I would say, great innovation in such a way that we do not do a big harm to the environment because they say that the use of electric cars means that there's less carbon or less poison to the air pollution, and so people or countries are trying to shift from the use of gas and diesel to something that will help the environment to have clean air. So we've seen really how this have changed. Now, in connection to that, there are four powerful forces that are converging and leading us towards new ways of learning in the 21st century. So we see on the screen the 21st century learning. How do we learn things? And we see here that the four powerful forces that are converging. Converging means coming in full force or being together in equipping the students how to learn best during this time. So we have knowledge work, thinking tools, digital lifestyles, and learning research. So these four forces are simultaneously creating the need for new forms of learning in the 21st century, and they are supplying the tools, the environments, and guiding principles required to support the 21st century learning practices. So in the next slide, we'll look at the knowledge work. Okay? So, as noted in the 21st century, or as noted, the 21st century has already brought historic changes to the world of work. The knowledge age demands a steady supply of well trained workers, workers using brain power and digital tools to apply well honed knowledge skills to their daily work. Today, knowledge work is done collaboratively in teams with team members often spread across multiple locations using a digital tool of devices and services to coordinate their project. such as cell phones, voice over internet protocol communications, teleconferencing, web conferencing, laptops, personal digital assistants, databases, spreadsheets, calendar and contact management software, email, text messaging, websites, online collaboration spaces, social networking tools, and the list goes on. So the need for knowledge workers to create and innovate new products and services that solve real problems and meet real customers' needs is a major driving force for economic growth and work in the 21st century. Shortages of well trained workers, especially in technical areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are a growing concern among business leaders. This demand has led to a brisk global talent trade and to heated controversies over practices such as bringing in skilled foreign workers on special visas and outsourcing work to lower wage countries such as India and China. Many high tech corporations are also making substantial investments in global programs to attract students to technical fields and to train and certify them in technical skills. Some multinational corporations are now investing in teachers' professional development and the digital outfitting of schools around the globe so that the pipeline for future knowledge workers will be full and flowing fast. In short, the pressure is increasing on education systems around the world to teach in ways that will produce the knowledge workers and innovators businesses need to be successful in the 21st century knowledge economy. So, in short, what I'm trying to say here is nowadays the knowledge workers are expected to bring with them um, a set of knowledge or the applied skills that we talked about in our lecture, in the video presentation, when they go to the workplace. But of course, it's not only the brain power that they have, or they cannot just rely on their brain power because we are living in the digital age. And so there are digital tools that will help them to do what is expected of them. And as you see here also, it has been mentioned that the setup of workplaces is it's made up of teams. That's why we emphasize the need for collaboration. Because if you do not know how to collaborate, you will not be able to work as a team and you will not be able to learn how to become a team player. Another setup of the workplace is it has multiple locations, meaning to say there's no single place for the business, but it is usually situated or set up in different parts of the world, as we can see here in the example. And it's also mentioned here that aside from collaboration and aside from having teams, they use different tools and devices to coordinate their project work. So, what are these? These are the things that I've mentioned: smartphones, voice over internet, teleconferencing, web conferencing, laptops, personal digital assistants, databases, spreadsheets, emails, and there's a long list. So there's no reason why you will say that cannot get in touch or I cannot reach that person or I cannot have access to that business because we have a zoo of devices that can help us to coordinate whatever we need to coordinate. That if in case we need to finish a project work, then we can make use all of these tools and devices. And also, as a knowledge worker, we are expected to innovate new products and services. We are also expected to solve real problems, and we are expected to meet the needs of the real customers. So as customers are getting more experience, as customers are having more access to information, because we have a global setup wherein there are no boundaries, then their expectations, their demands are much more higher. And so it highlights the importance of knowing how to become a knowledge worker. So meaning you really have to invest on the knowledge in order for you to fit in the workplace. But of course, the good thing is our brain has a limited capacity. Our brain cannot really, I would say, perform just like the performance of the digital tool. That's why it says here that as a knowledge worker, or this knowledge work can be intensified or can be done in collaboration or paired with what we call digital tools. What is important is you have the applied skills with you and you know how to use the technology. So the last part that I did mention about this knowledge work is there's a pressure in the education system around the world. A pressure to teach in ways that will produce knowledge workers. That's why we have this course, we have this class, because we want you to be ready. We want to produce students who are knowledge professional and who can innovate the business in such a way that it can help to be part of the 21st century knowledge economy. Okay, so another force that we have is the thinking tools. Technology and the digital devices and services that fill a knowledge worker's toolkit, what we call the thinking tools of our time, may be the most potent forces for change in the 21st century. The speed at which the underlying information and communication technologies are developing is truly outstanding. So we see here that computer microchips continue to double their processing speed every 18 months. The average cell phone has more processing power than all computers used to plan and run the early space missions. The density of the data that we can store doubles every 12 months. As a matter of fact, the 140 million books, photographs, memories, and other documents of the U.S. Library of Congress can now fit on a single digital tape cassette. How amazing, right? The density of the data that we can put in one gadget, and the amount of information that we can transmit over optical fibers doubles every 9 months. All the books ever written can be transmitted over an optical fiber the width of your hair, just a couple of seconds. So it's really amazing how this technology are changing the way we store information, changing the way on we treat information. So with the mushrooming capacity to process, store, and transmit the bits and bytes of information, we are rapidly gaining fingertip access to much of the world's available information. So what do you need? You don't need to memorize. You just need to know where to get the information. Gone are the days that you have so many folders, that you have so many drives or USBs for you to keep everything. Because everywhere, as long as there's a cloud drive, you can access the information. So in the past, memorizing the tightest set of known facts, rules, figures, and dates of any school subject was a challenging but necessary part of learning. Your teachers force you to memorize. Memorize history, like the Joseon Dynasty, memorize the dates, memorize the names, memorize figures, because during the early times, there's no bucket for knowledge storage. But now, it's not necessary anymore because today, attempting to memorize the overflowing storerooms of facts and knowledge in any field is impossible. But an immense number of facts that can be remembered or accessed as needed with a quick internet search. That's why I said information is within your reach. You just have to Google it, you just have to go to Naver, you just have to use your fingers or maybe just a finger, and it will give you the information that you need. So, thinking and knowledge tools are helping us to learn, work, and be creative. But they entail a host of downsides. There are also downsides about this. So, again, I'd like to look back. So, it's easy for us to learn, work, and be creative as we use this, what we call thinking tools. Okay? I have said that there are so many ways to actually access information. However, there are downsides. What are the downsides? The beeps and fanfares of cell phones, the flood of email. Why there are beeps and fanfares of cell phone? There's always notification. There's always something to sell. You get messages that you don't need because most often these are spam mails, and also the email folder that you have is flooding of emails. You have a lot of text messages, a lot of tweets, because there are spam and advertising messages that flow through. There are dozens of file formats and endless software updates to juggle. Always you see on your computer asking you to do an update. How there are also software crashes, like for example, people are crashing or hacking sites, private sites. That's why we have also privacy concerns, identity theft, and so on. So again, I'm trying to say that this is of the downside of having that technology. Okay, so if we have good things about technology, we also have the downside, which are the things that I did mention. And so the issue that we are facing now is the quantity of information is not the same as quality. The quantity of information is not the same as quality. Much of what is available to us is rumor, personal opinion, marketing copy disguised as web content, or otherwise unreliable material. So we have to be smart in choosing the right information, the true information, if in case we are using the internet to source for knowledge. So, nonetheless, as technology continues to improve, the benefits of our digital tools seem to far outweigh the drawbacks. The mental task of knowledge work accessing, searching, analyzing, storing, managing, creating, and communicating information and knowledge are becoming easier and more efficient as our digital tools for thinking, learning, communicating, collaborating, and working become more powerful, integrated, connected, and easier to use. What do you see on the screen? We see people from different ages, starting from a baby, a toddler, then we have those who are in the school, like for example, this young lady here. We have a professional holding a smartphone. We have leaders of states using media. in technology as well. And we even have old people uh, who are familiar and know how to use their smartphone. Then we also have here some um, technologies or wares that we use, like for example, USB. Then we have the memory stick, we have iPods. Okay, so this is what we call the digital lifestyle. Whether you call them digital natives, netgeners, netizens, Homo sapiens, or something else, it is clear that the members of the first generation to grow up surrounded by digital media, now those aged 11 to 31, are different from the digital immigrants who learned to do technology later in life. In 1975, for example, the average home media environment included four information products: TV programming, news, advertising, and radio programming, delivered by only five routes: broadcast TV and radio, phone, mail, and newspaper delivery. Display and listening devices were limited to TVs, radios, stereos, telephones, and paper. And storage options range from paper to vinyl records to tape, whether reel to reel, 8 track, or cassette. Today, each of these categories holds two to four times as many items. Consider the following innovations that have come into common use since 1975: cable TV, camcorders, CDs and DVDs, cell phones, including iPhones and Blackberries, digital video recorders, DVD players and drives, ebooks, ebooks or ebook readers, email, game consoles. We also have hard drives, instant messaging, internet, wherein there's the website, blogs, news group, and chat, iPods and MP3 players, memory sticks, online storage, PDAs, personal and laptop computers, satellite TV and radio, text messaging, and VCRs. The list was no doubt incomplete as soon as it was written. The face of these digital devices coming into the market and living it is overwhelming. And the variety of ways these devices can now interconnect in a home's digital ecology is even more bewildering. A moment's reflection will reveal another between 1975 and today. Then devices tend to have a single use, and you have had few choices for how and where you could take in the content: the audio, video, or print. Paper media, newspapers and magazines, were also as versatile as you could get. Today, TV, music, online content, traditional print, and personal communications can all be delivered, watched, heard, or read on multiple portable devices. No wonder netgeners are different from their parents, having grown up as bath in beats since they were born. But there's more to it than their heightened abilities to multitask, search the web, listen to music, update their blogs, create websites, make movies, play video games, and text friends on their cell phones. These young people are the first generation in history to know more about the most powerful tools for change in our society: digital information and communications technologies, than their elders, their parents, and teachers. This is changing both family and school dynamics as students switch roles and become digital mentors, and teachers and parents become part time students of our young digital experts. Next Gender's lifelong immersion in all things digital has given them a whole new set of desires and expectations. In a recent study of more than 11,000 individuals aged 11 to 31, eight common attitudes, behaviors, and expectations were clearly distinguished from their parents. They want the following: freedom to choose what is right for them and to express their personal views and individual identity, customization and personalization, the ability to change things to better suit their own needs, scrutiny, detailed behind the scenes analyses so they can find out what the real story is, integrity and openness in their interactions with others and from organizations like businesses, government, and educational institutions. Entertainment and play to be integrated in their work, learning, and social life. Collaboration and relationships to be a vital part of all they do. Speed in communications, getting information, and getting responses to questions and messages. And last, innovation in products and services, employers, and schools in their own lives. Thus, new ways to make learning interactive, personalized, collaborative, creative, and innovative are needed to engage and keep NetGeners actively learning in schools everywhere. Now, the last force is about the learning research. In the last 3 decades, or the last 3 decades, have brought many important revolution in our understanding of how people learn. This new learning about learning is surprisingly in tune with both the new expectations of net generation students and the new demands and tools of the knowledge age. Five key findings from research in science of learning can be used to direct and guide our efforts to reshape learning to meet our times. These are authentic learning, mental model building, internal motivation, multiple intelligence, and social learning. Authentic learning. Context or the conditions in which learning activities occur, like the people, objects, symbols, and environment, and how they all work together to support learning are much more influential than previously thought. Transferring what is learned from one context to another, such as from the classroom to the real world, is often not successful. Doing supermarket math problems on a test is different from mentally calculating price differences of three kinds and sizes of laundry soap in an actual store. The setting in which new skill or piece of knowledge is learned strongly influences whether or not that the skill or knowledge can be applied elsewhere. Simulating the real world environment with media or actually being in place where that particular skill or knowledge is used in the world. Supplying a more authentic context for learning increases the chance that the lesson will be remembered and used in a similar situations. This finding suggests students need more real world problem internships or apprenticeships in real work settings, and other more authentic learning experiences to make learning last and be useful. Mental model building. A great deal has been learned about how people build mental models, incorporate new experiences into these models, and change these models over time. We all start with less than accurate mental models of the world based on our experience, like the earth sure looks flat to me, and adjust them as we encounter new experiences that don't quite fit, like the earth looks like a giant floating blue and white marble in those photos from the space. The building and changing of our mental models and how we link our mental models together in our heads, our shifting systems view of the world is much what learning is about. Recognizing what you already know from the past and what you currently believe from the latest versions of your mental models are important first steps in learning processes. Unfortunately, in our haste to teach new material, the important step of helping learners reflect on their current mental models is often overlooked. Building and manipulating external models, whether they're physical ones like food, Lego blocks, robotic parts, and the like, or virtual ones, drawings on paper or screens, computer simulations like The Sims or Spore, virtual worlds like Second Life, video games, and so on, helps us visualize and further develop our internal mental models. Both visceral, or what we call hands on, and virtual, which is on screen modeling activities, provide ways to make thinking visible, reflecting the internal model making and learning going on inside their heads. So, another thing that we have to understand is the internal motivation. A rich literature of emotional intelligence studies and reports are clearly showing the advantages of being internally motivated to learn, as opposed to learning just for motivations such as parental approval or performance in tests. When people have emotional connection to what is being learned, personal experience or question, learning can be sustained longer, understanding can become deeper, and what is learned can be retained longer. Studies of well designed learning projects geared to the students' interests and passions also show the internal motivation can contribute a great deal to active engagement, deeper understanding, and the desire to learn more. Then we go to multiple intelligences. Though a lively debate continues over what exactly are the inherent parts of intelligence in the brain, there is no question now that the competence comes in a variety of forms and intelligence is exhibited in a wide assortment of behaviors. Encouraging multiple learning approaches to match the diverse learning styles and providing multiple ways for students to express their understanding is necessary for effective learning. How to personalize learning, and how to differentiate instructions for diverse classrooms are two of the great educational challenges of the 21st century. The evidence is clear that personalized learning can have a positive effect on both learning performance and attitudes toward learning. And then the last is social learning. Social, in many ways, all learning is social in that it is based on the accumulated knowledge gained by scores of others down through the ages. Even the solitary reading of a book or web page is actually a social act that puts you in touch with all the people who influence the author's thinking and writing. Both face to face and virtual collaborations online have been shown to increase learning motivation, create better and more innovative results, and develop social and cultural skills. Learning in a community of learners who share knowledge, questions, skills, progress, and passion for a subject is exactly how adults learn when they participate in their communities of work and professional practice. A wide variety of online communication tools and environments that support social, collaborative, and community learning approaches are now available. Since the internet is global, students can now become global learners, connecting and learning with others around the planet. I know that this is not easy to understand and that I have given you such a more difficult listening activity. However, what I would like you to do is try to understand or try to, repeat reviewing this lecture about the forces of learning because this is where we will concentrate our learning for the next couple of weeks as we end the semester. So for this week, we're going to focus on the four converging forces that will help us to be ready for the 21st century workplace. I will give simpler explanations and examples for these four converging forces as we see each other in our online classroom. So, thank you for listening and see you in our online discussion.